Hype can be a blessing or a slow kind of punishment. In high school, the world is small enough to believe every cheer, every mixtape view, every voice telling you you're next. But the climb from local god to professional player is steep, and the lights that feel warm at 16 can burn everything by 20. Some kids peak too early, some never get the right break, some just weren't built for the politics of the climb. And when the moment passes, nobody tells you how to handle silence after being treated like you couldn't miss. High school legends who never made the NBA since the 2000s. What happened? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it. Kiwi Gardner was the type of player that made gyms stop. A wiry blur of motion, elevation, and imagination. At just 5'7", he became one of the first viral mixtape stars of the YouTube era. His crossovers felt animated, his bounce didn't make sense, and the crowd he pulled looked more like concert audiences than high school games. Kiwi represented possibility. The idea that heart and flair could beat height, structure, and the scouting system that always seems to favor the safe pick. But the higher he rose, the more reality began closing in. In organized settings, the same flair that made him electric on the outdoor courts looked riskier in half-court systems. Coaches saw highlights, scouts saw limitations, and at the highest levels, size isn't just a footnote, it's a wall. The margin for error gets smaller, the leash gets shorter, and a great possession can't always erase a turnover. Suddenly, the game that made him look like a legend started to look unforgiving. Kiwi went overseas and spent some time in the D-League where he fought for every inch of his basketball life, carving out a respectable career in places where the ball still loved him back. But the NBA never called, not because he lacked talent, but because size is a gatekeeper the league rarely bends for. His story isn't failure, it's a reminder that sometimes your game is perfect, just not for the stage the world expected you to reach. He's currently an assistant coach for the New Taipei Kings in Taiwan. Aquille Carr wasn't just a high school star, he was a phenomenon. At 5'6", with a 40+ inch vertical, he played with a violence and fearlessness that didn't match his size. Baltimore crowds didn't just watch him, they believed in him. They called him the Crime Stopper because it was said crime literally stopped when he played, since everyone was at the game. His mixtapes hit the internet at the perfect time, when YouTube was becoming basketball's new talent stage. And for a moment, it felt like he broke basketball physics. A guard that small wasn't supposed to dunk like that, fly down the court like that, or control attention like that. But the same highlight machine game that made him a myth in gyms didn't translate clearly to the pro blueprint. The NBA doesn't just test your skill, it tests your role, fit, and scalability. Aquille was electric in transition, unpredictable in open space, and unstoppable when the crowd was loud. But in slow, structured read and react sets, coaches saw risk, where fans saw freedom, and unlike smaller guards before him, he never developed the elite shooting, defense, or decision-making required to overcome the height tax. Off-court challenges didn't help. The weight of early fame, expectations, and pressure to perform like a show every night took a toll. Aquille bounced between leagues overseas and the G League, always chasing that moment when belief and system aligned again. But the NBA window closed before that chance came. Today, Carr still plays professionally with the Reading Rebels in the Basketball League, where the crowd may be smaller, but his love for the game hasn't faded. Lenny Cooke's story feels like something the basketball world still whispers about. Because before the league, before the draft, before the legend we celebrate now, there was a moment where he was next. Not maybe, not possibly, he was the #1 high school player in the country. Ranked above LeBron, above Carmelo, above Amari, the NBA felt like destiny, not a dream. He had the size, the scoring touch, the effortless way of controlling games without looking like he was trying. Crowds didn't just cheer him, they watched him the way people watch the future forming in real time. But fame without guidance can be a storm. Lenny never had the structure around him that players like LeBron walked into. The machine, the handlers, the crafted path, nor did he internally have his own structure either. Hype came early, fast, and heavy, and the expectations that followed didn't come with stability. Then the infamous summer matchup happened. LeBron rose, Lenny stalled, and in the moment the world shifted. Nobody hit pause to help him reset. He entered the draft without college experience, without preparation, without people fighting for his long-term development. He went undrafted, and the door that once looked automatic quietly closed. But Lenny's story didn't end there. He rebuilt his life after a while as a mentor, speaker, and a voice for young players navigating the same spotlight he once held. A reminder that talent alone isn't enough without direction, timing, and the right hands around you. Isaiah Washington didn't just play basketball, he built a movement. Born in Harlem, raised on city courts where style matters as much as substance, he co-created Jellyfam, a cultural wave built around creativity at the rim. Not just a layup, a jelly, a glide, an identity. Kids across the country started copying his flair. Sneakers, mixtapes, Instagram captions, all influenced by Isaiah. He had the charisma, the New York energy, and the kind of confidence you can't teach. By the time he reached high school stardom, he wasn't just a player, he was a symbol of a new era of basketball expression. But with fame comes expectation, and expectation can be louder than development. When he got to Minnesota, the game slowed down, the floor shrank, and flash didn't translate the same way. College systems value spacing, reads, and efficiency. Isaiah was still learning how to be a player, not just a presence. The same style that made him electric in open court high school play felt held down when every possession had a rule, a purpose, or consequence. Confidence wavered, roles shifted, and transfers followed. It wasn't lack of skill, it was timing. The game was changing around him, and the window to redefine himself tightened too fast. Still, he didn't quit. He worked, adapted, and kept hooping professionally. Today, he's carving out his own lane overseas. The Jellyfam story continuing on different courts, without the bright lights, but with the same creativity that started it all. Seventh Woods didn't just go viral, he became a high school myth. At 14 years old, his hoop mixtape wasn't just popular, it was revolutionary. The speed, the bounce, the way he exploded off the floor made people question physics at his age. He wasn't compared to high school players, he was compared to future NBA stars. Comment sections read like prophecy. Top pick in 4 years, next Derrick Rose, best 7th grader we've ever seen. 7th wasn't just projected for greatness, it was assumed. But hype has a way of aging faster than development. 7th grew up on highlight culture, where the game is fast, loose, and reaction-based. College is the opposite. Roles shrink, spacing changes, and coaches demand control over chaos. At North Carolina, he entered a system built on structure, patience, and trust. The freedom that once defined him didn't exist there. He wasn't asked to create storms, he was asked to fit into one. And when expectations start at impossible, anything less than superstardom feels like failure. The truth is, 7th Woods didn't improve much since his time being more advanced than his high school peers. And by the time he transferred and eventually turned pro, the myth the internet built was too large to step into without being swallowed by it. Today, he's still playing professionally overseas, still growing, still hooping, still writing his story. His journey reminds us, sometimes the world crowns you too early before you even know who you are. All of these players are great. That's the part people forget when the story doesn't end in the NBA. Their names filled gyms, inspired cities, and made basketball feel larger than life for a moment in time. But hype is not legendary, growth is, and sometimes the world decides who you're supposed to be before you've had the chance to figure that out yourself. For some, the runway wasn't long enough. For others, the spotlight was too bright too soon. All in all, their stories reminds us that being known early doesn't guarantee a lasting name. But love for the game and making sure you continue to develop all around can help that NBA journey move much more smooth. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, these high school legends didn't make the NBA. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.